Most people believe a deep breath begins with a large inhale and a rising chest. But that familiar motion is not calmness. It is your nervous system preparing for subtle stress. Chest breathing activates accessory muscles that were designed for emergencies, not daily survival. Over time, this habit convinces your brain that danger is always a breath away. Yet the irony is deeper because you are not lacking oxygen at all in the first place. Ask any pulmonologist. Your oxygen saturation almost always stays between 96 and 99%. Your blood is already saturated, carrying more oxygen than your cells can immediately use. So why do you still sigh heavily, chase long breaths, or feel the strange emptiness of air hunger? The answer hides in a gas most people try to eliminate as quickly as possible: carbon dioxide. CO2 is not just exhaust. It is the very signal that tells hemoglobin to release oxygen. This is the core of the Bohr effect, discovered by Danish physiologist Christian Bohr in 1904. Without adequate CO2, oxygen clings tightly to hemoglobin, refusing to enter your brain or muscles. Imagine hemoglobin as a taxi filled with oxygen passengers, all waiting for the correct destination. CO2 acts like the fare, convincing the taxi to open its doors and let oxygen out. When you breathe too fast or too forcefully, you throw away the fare before the taxi arrives. This creates a quiet paradox. Your lungs are full of oxygen, yet your tissues remain underfed. Stanford researchers call this state relative hypoxia. Oxygen present in abundance but unavailable for use. This is why shallow breathing feels exhausting even when you think you are breathing more deeply. The solution is unexpectedly simple. Breathe softer, slower and lower, not bigger or harder. True deep breathing begins at the diaphragm, the dome-shaped muscle resting beneath your ribs. When the diaphragm descends, pressure equalizes, gas exchange improves, and oxygen finally reaches its destination. This is also why elite performers train nasal breathing, not chest inflation, to enhance efficiency. Cheer, nasal breathing preserves CO2, filters air, warms it, and guides the body into parasympathetic calm. It is less about taking in more oxygen and more about allowing oxygen to be delivered wisely. Over the next 30 days, this small shift in how you breathe can quietly reshape how you feel. And as each controlled exhale settles your chemistry, you may begin noticing changes you never expected. When you begin breathing through your nose consistently, the first change happens inside your sinuses. These narrow passages are not empty spaces. They are biochemical chambers producing a critical molecule. That molecule is nitric oxide, or NO, a natural vasodilator essential for efficient oxygen delivery. When you inhale slowly through your nose, NO travels with the airflow into your lungs. There it relaxes the tiny capillaries around your alveoli, widening them like opening SLLA gates. This expansion increases oxygen absorption by 10 to 15%. According to research from Karolinska Institute, the effect is immediate, but only if your inhale is soft, quiet, and unforced. Forceful nose breathing still disrupts CO2 balance, preventing oxygen from being released effectively. So during week 1, the goal is simplicity. Breathe less, breathe slower, and let chemistry work. As you reduce your breathing rate, CO2 begins to rise gently in your bloodstream again. And with that rise comes the key to unlocking the Bohr effect described in medical physiology. More CO2 means hemoglobin finally releases oxygen where your cells actually need it. This shift transforms nasal breathing from a habit into a metabolic intervention. But breathing also changes your blood's chemistry, especially its pH, a delicate internal variable. When you breathe too quickly, CO2 drops, causing your blood pH to rise in respiratory alkalosis. This triggers constriction of blood vessels throughout your body, including those feeding your brain. That is why stress breathing creates cold fingers, headaches, and the sensation of internal tightness. After about 7 days of slower nasal breathing, this constriction begins to ease noticeably. Vessels dilate, circulation steadies, and your hands warm as metabolic equilibrium returns. Many people describe the first sign of improvement as losing the heavy afternoon fog they assumed was normal. This clarity is not from extra oxygen, but from oxygen finally reaching the tissues that need it. Your brain depends heavily on stable CO2, and nasal breathing reintroduces that stability quickly. Meanwhile, your diaphragm becomes more active each day as your body stops relying on chest muscles. A descending diaphragm improves lung expansion, massages abdominal organs, and reduces tension near the spine. By the end of week 1, your breathing pattern already looks different. Even if you do not notice it, the breath is quieter. The shoulders softer, and the nervous system no longer fires in fragments. These early adjustments set the stage for deeper structural changes that unfold in week 2. Before we continue, if you've been enjoying this video so far, leave a comment with one so I know this content is valuable to you, and so we can keep creating meaningful videos that you won't want to miss. As week 2 begins, your breath travels deeper, reaching muscles most people barely engage in daily life. The diaphragm, a dome-shaped sheet beneath your lungs, becomes the central mover instead of your shoulders. This muscle is the true foundation of proper breathing. Yet, it is one of the most neglected. Modern sitting habits freeze the diaphragm, forcing shallow chest breathing that strains smaller accessory muscles. When these muscles compensate, tension spreads to your neck, shoulders, and upper spine without warning. But the deeper issue lies lower, where the diaphragm attaches directly to your lumbar vertebrae. These attachments create a physical bridge between your breath and the stability of your lower back. When the diaphragm is weak, this internal support collapses, leaving the spine vulnerable to micro-instability. Over time, this instability expresses itself as lower back tightness, stiffness, or recurring aching sensations. Physical therapists often call this the hidden breath-spine connection that most patients never recognize. During week 2, every deep inhale lowers the diaphragm 2 to 3 centimeters toward your abdomen. This downward movement creates intra-abdominal pressure, a natural internal brace that protects your lumbar spine. Instead of squeezing external muscles, your breath begins stabilizing your posture from the inside out. Many people notice a subtle shift around day 10, standing straighter without trying to correct themselves. This isn't posture training. It's biomechanical realignment driven by consistent diaphragmatic activation. As the diaphragm descends, it also delivers a gentle massage to your liver, stomach, and intestines. That rhythmic pressure stimulates motility, reducing indigestion, bloating, and the sluggishness caused by sedentary routines. Some individuals even report fewer heartburn episodes, likely due to more balanced abdominal pressure. Meanwhile, tension begins melting from the shoulders because they are no longer recruited for breathing. The neck muscles, once overworked, finally return to their true roles instead of compensating for poor patterns. Blood flow increases in these regions as mechanical strain decreases, relieving stiffness many assumed was aging. By the end of week 2, you may notice your back feels lighter, as if carrying less internal weight. This sensation isn't imaginary. It reflects real structural unloading created by improved breathing mechanics. Each inhale strengthens your core. Each exhale releases muscular guarding that accumulates through years of stress. Your breath is no longer a passive background process. It becomes an architectural force shaping your posture, and this newfound stability becomes essential for the psychological and neurological transformations waiting in week 3. By week 3, your breath is no longer mechanical. It begins influencing the deepest circuits of your mind. Each extended exhale gently signals your nervous system that the perceived threat has finally passed. This signal travels through the vagus nerve, the long wandering branch connecting your brain to your organs. When the vagus nerve senses slow breathing, it releases acetylcholine to quiet your internal alarms. Acetylcholine reduces heart rate, softens blood pressure, and dims the amygdala's instinctive fear response. This shift moves the body from survival mode into a calmer physiological landscape, often called parasympathetic dominance. In this state, your mind becomes less reactive and more receptive, noticing details it once ignored. Moments that previously sparked irritation now dissolve before reaching the surface of your awareness. This is not emotional suppression. It is emotional regulation emerging from the rhythm of your breath. Researchers studying heart rate variability use it as a window into this new internal stability. HRV measures how adaptively your heart responds to stress, with higher variability linked to longevity. Slow breathing, especially around 5 to 6 breaths per minute, significantly boosts HRV within minutes. By week 3, this pattern becomes more consistent, raising your baseline resilience without you forcing anything. You may notice irritations feel lighter, recoveries feel faster, and emotional swings feel less dramatic. These changes are not psychological tricks. They are biochemical consequences of improved neural tone. Ketones produced during long exhalations can further support calm by stabilizing neuronal energy pathways. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex benefits from steadier blood flow as hyperventilation patterns fade. This improves focus, decision-making, and the subtle cognitive clarity many describe as flow. Flow is the state where effort feels smooth, attention feels anchored, and tasks feel less fragmented. Athletes and musicians chase this feeling. Yet, it begins quietly with something as simple as breath rate. Your exhale lengthens naturally now, not as a technique, but as an instinctive settling of the body. Some people describe a gentle warmth in the chest, a sign of shifting autonomic balance. Others report their sleep deepening with fewer nighttime awakenings and smoother transitions between sleep cycles. These improvements arise because slow breathing synchronizes circadian rhythms through vagal pathways. By the end of week 3, you begin sensing life with more space between stimulus and response. That space is your nervous system regaining sovereignty. Guided by the consistency of your breath, by the 4th week, your breath begins reaching places your awareness rarely travels to consciously. Each slow inhale brings oxygen deeper into the alveoli, where metabolic transformation quietly unfolds. And here is a surprising truth few people know. Fat burning depends heavily on oxygen availability. Harvard metabolic studies reveal that 84% of fat leaves your body as carbon dioxide. That means most of your burned fat exits through your breath, not sweat or workouts. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever considered that your breathing pattern affects fat loss? If you have, type yes in the comments so others realize they're not alone in this discovery. Deep breathing increases oxygen delivery, allowing your mitochondria to break down fatty acids efficiently. But this only happens when your body enters the parasympathetic rest and digest state consistently. Stress breathing pushes your system into sympathetic mode, forcing it to burn glucose instead of fat. This is why some people feel stuck despite dieting. Their breathing keeps their metabolism in emergency mode. By week 4, your slower breathing signals safety, telling your body it can finally tap stored fat. Some viewers may even notice subtle changes already. Calmer hunger patterns or lighter abdominal tension. If you're sensing any of these shifts, share which one resonates most with you below. Meanwhile, deep breathing begins activating another overlooked system, the lymphatic network beneath your skin. Unlike blood vessels, lymph vessels have no pump and depend on muscle movement and pressure changes. Each diaphragmatic breath acts like a vacuum, pulling stagnant lymph upward through the thoracic duct. This movement helps clear cellular waste, reduce water retention, and ease the puffiness many adults struggle with. Some people describe their face looking less swollen. Others feel lighter around the joints and hips. These aren't cosmetic effects. They reflect real physiological drainage occurring within your tissues. Your skin may even appear brighter as inflammatory byproducts leave the lymphatic system more efficiently. This is often the moment viewers ask, "Is this why I feel cleaner from the inside out?" And the honest answer is yes. Your breath is reshaping processes that normally operate unnoticed. Your metabolism is no longer chaotic. It becomes measured, rhythmic, and remarkably economical. Every exhale now participates in fat loss. Every inhale supports cellular maintenance and recovery. By the end of week 4, your breath works like an internal housekeeping system, restoring metabolic order. After 30 days of deep breathing, your lungs function with a quiet efficiency they did not have before. The diaphragm now travels farther with each inhale, expanding your lungs in a way chest breathing never could. This increased movement recruits more alveoli, unlocking tiny air sacs that were previously underutilized. As more alveoli participate, oxygen distribution becomes smoother and more consistent throughout your lungs. This is why many people notice easier breathing during stairs, walks, or light physical activity. These improvements arise not from force, but from repetition, what respiratory researchers call ventilatory conditioning. Over weeks, the respiratory muscles strengthen gently, allowing your lungs to work with less effort. This means reduced breathlessness, especially during moments of stress, or mild cardiovascular demand. But the changes don't stop at muscle tone, because nitric oxide production becomes more stable as well. Slow nasal breathing increases. No exposure in the lungs, relaxing capillaries and improving gas exchange. This widens the microscopic routes where oxygen enters your bloodstream and carbon dioxide leaves. The result is not more oxygen, but better utilization of the oxygen already saturating your blood. Your lungs also regain elasticity as the diaphragm resumes its natural rhythm instead of staying frozen upward. Elastic lungs open easily, close smoothly, and keep airflow even across the entire respiratory tree. Many people describe a subtle spaciousness in their chest, a sign their breathing is finally unconstrained. Deep breathing also calms airway reactivity by enhancing vagal tone, which reduces unnecessary bronchial constriction. This calmer pattern helps prevent that familiar tightness that appears during anxiety or mental overload. Meanwhile, improved CO2 balance restores the Bohr effect, ensuring oxygen actually reaches your tissues. This is the hidden mechanism behind the mental clarity many people report after consistent practice. Your breath becomes slower, steadier, and more intentional, shaping how your entire physiology behaves. By the 30th day, deep breathing doesn't feel like a technique anymore. It feels like your body's native pace. You have essentially given your lungs back their original design, and your organs respond accordingly. Your sleep deepens, your stress softens, and your energy stabilizes with remarkable predictability. So, what truly happens to your lungs after 30 days of deep breathing? They become more efficient, more elastic, more coordinated, and more capable of supporting every system you rely on. And perhaps, more importantly, you begin sensing life in a calmer rhythm shaped by your own breath.